Hello guys, Lit here. So PoE2 0.5.5 is on the horizon. We got a date 27 August, and depending on the time zone, it can be 27, it can be 28. So check the forum for the precise time where the review going to happen. Now, 0.5.5 is a balancing patch. At least that is what they said. So 0.5.5 is like a big balancing patch before we move into 1.0. I think that is the main goal, but maybe they're also going to change some mechanic here and there because I think some of them just need to be addressed. So first, let's start with the Atlas tree. For what it is right now, I personally don't really have that big of a problems. But in my opinion, if they wanted to make it unspecable, because this is what it is right now, you can unspec this, it has to be all plus, which I don't think is possible because there will be always a corner cases where these things like but just something in the note going to be good for certain build, going to be bad for certain build. For what it is right now, the problem is obviously on the whips. The whips is like you adding difficulty on your map, but you're not really getting much from the whips itself because it's still mechanically bad. I still don't like whips, so I think they should just add the unspec button. It's not really that complicated. You give the choices, more choices to your player. They can unspec the thing that they don't want to deal with. So, for example, like some people may not want to deal with Rock Exile, some people may not want to deal with whips, and also and so forth. So I think it's better to just add the unspec button. It's not that big of a deal. But if they really adamant on not adding the unspec button, they have to make sure the entire tree is purely positive, which I don't think they can. Like I said, there will be always a corner cases where this will be downside for certain build. This is the first thing that I really hope they will address. Just at the aspect button, it's not that complicated. And the second thing that I think they need to address is the passive tree, because what it is right now, at the end of the day, when you reach the end game, this is the passive tree going to looks like. You just go for jewel socket, especially with like the voices and stuff. It's just jewel socket, jewel socket, and jewel socket. And this league, we do have the 5 mod jewel. This probably have to go. Like I think this is a bit broken. But even without the 5 mod jewel, at the end game, this is probably what all the passive going to looks like at the end game because the passive itself doesn't really hold that much power. And I know that they said that that is what they want. I still think that they really need to consider that again, especially for something like, life. Just add some life on the tree, like some life note here and there. It's just a generic defense that's good for people early on. That will help alleviate the pressure on the gearing. Because what it is right now, you really have to rely on the item that you have to fix your problem with your offense and defense. So I really hope they work on the passive tree. Also, there's these odd things. For example, like this jewel socket to this jewel socket over here. If you use the outer rim, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? 9 point. But if you do it on the second rim, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 2 point differences, which I don't understand why. Why the inner rim need to have more point than the outer rim? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I think that is something they need to deal with the pository. I think this is just eventually they just keep adding stuff, and I think at some point they kind of have to look at it and kind of like I don't know maybe rearrange some of them, kind of simplify them a little bit. Because what it is right now is kind of a bit odd, and like I said, this is not the build. This is not the only build that the positive is going to look like this. You will see a lot of build at the end game, especially the one that with high budget. They will all go for like the jewel socket here and there, and jewel socket, and jewel socket. And then they will take something like, for example, I'm a minion build, so I take some like Lord Forest and stuff. And if some like cast on crit, you will take like energize and unification efficiency. You're going to still take some node, but most of your node is probably going to go for jewel socket, which personally I don't think that's good for the game. But that's my opinion. I really hope they look into the positive tree and do something about it. And next, let's talk about gem level. I think this has been an issue that a lot of people have already talking about, and the main issue with gem level is too strong. So if you have a weapon or an armor, any equipment slot, if it can roll a plus level, you will always go for that. Like there is no choice. Everything else is worse than plus level. So you have to get plus level there. And I think personally, that is not a good thing because it takes away the choice from the player because you have to go for that because that's the only obvious choice you can go for, and it kind of feels stupid if you don't go for that. So I think they should work on the plus level and reduce the significance of that mod. Either they take some of them and bake it into the base skill gem, which I think that's what they should do, because 0.5.5 is a balancing punch anyway. That's mean they kind of have to go through all the skill, and while doing that, they can also kind of like take out all of the jump level. You don't really have to remove all of them, but I really want to see them not as significant as it is right now. So reduce the amount of plus level you can get from the gear, and bake them into the skill gem itself. So the skill gem baseline getting better, and you don't have to tie to a plus level on your items. This has been a thing, and I think they already acknowledged this one, but maybe it just take a lot more time to kind of review all the skill because there's a lot of skill. And so I hope that we're going to see this on 0.5.5. First, let's talk about skill since the 0.5.5 will be a big balancing patch. So in terms of skill, the first skill that I want to see getting buff is Minion Skeletons. The reason for that one because after we got Spectre, after we got the companion with the monkey and stuff, looking back at the skeleton, they kind of get left behind, right? Like the archer, the reaver, like all the skeleton minion, they kind of not really perform in the same level with the Spectre and the companion. So I really hope they look into this one and buff it a little bit so it's kind of on the same par level with at least like a Spectre, I think. So the skeleton build can be, like somewhat usable. And when I say something like usable or the skill is strong or weak, I always talking about the comparison between this skill with another skill. So if, for example, like this one is Minion, if I have to compare from something like Reaper or Sniper, if I have to compare them to like the top performing Spectre, something like Parazealot, Fall Guard, or something like that, or Gargantuan Wasps. And I just wish they buff the skeleton minions so they can kind of be at least on par with the Spectre. And I think the monkey probably going to get nerfed. I mean, there's no way they're going to left the monkey like that. The monkey is pretty crazy, pretty nuts. So for what it is right now, Skeleton Minion definitely need helps. They cannot get left behind. They work on the Spectre get better, and then they work on the Companion, and then the Skeleton kind of get left behind. So I really want to see some work done on the Skeleton Minion. Make them a little bit stronger, especially on the early game. And the next one, let's talk about Raven Flux, because this is a one skill that I really, really like. I play a lot of variant of this Raven Flux on this one. And the same thing with Minion, when I said this Raven Flock right now is a little bit weak, I'm not saying that you cannot finish the game with this skill, because you can finish PoE2 with a bad skill. You don't necessarily need a strong skill for it. But comparing like Raven Flux to something like another Minion build, because this is technically a Minion skill, even if you want to compare it to like damage over time skill, Raven Flock is just not on the same realm. Is a bit weaker, I would say, from any other choices, and not to mention, we don't even have a proper support gem for it. Like we get Master, we get Hulking Minion, which is not exactly that good. This is 20%, and we have Swift Affliction. This is 30%, but only for the Wing Trophy. And the last two support gem is like +1 level, which is really bad for support gem. In support gem, you really want the more multiplier. Because this is the main source of the more multiplier on your build. It's a support gem. So you really need a proper support gem for this skill, or they kind of have to buff the base skill. I wish they'd look into this a little bit more, since this is a skill that you get from the Uber item, so I think it deserves a better treatment. So for now, Raven Flock for me is like, it's kind of weak, and if you put enough currency on it, it becomes decent, but to be honest, if you put the same amount of currency with another build, that are meta build, you will get a far better result than Raven Flocks. So I really hope they look into the Raven Flock again. And I kind of thinking about Raven Flock a little bit in the last few days since they announced the 0.5. Maybe they should just drop the damage over time part of the Raven Flocks and make it basically not like a Reddish Fire, but make it like a Blade Vortex. I think that will work a lot better compared to what it is right now, because I don't know, damage over time is not a very strong archetype in my opinion. And I think that's it. That's my wish list for PO 0.5.5. I don't think they should nerf too much of things. Like obviously there's something that kind of overperform, like the monkeys overperforms. You barely need anything for that one to work. But if it's just like a little bit strong, I don't think they really need to like nerf it. I think the point of 0.5.5 is just to bring every skill to be like some sort of like in the same baseline. And for the state of the game itself, I'm genuinely just happy with the PoE2 because I don't know, I play a lot of the mechanic, daily breach and all that stuff. Like I'm fine with what it is right now. The ground loot feels good, the tile loot feels good. Everything I do feels rewarding, feels something that, it gives me something. I'm not wasting my time. So I think PoE2 state right now is in the really, really good state. The only problem I think is more on the skill and itemizations. Like crafting, I think they probably should have to kind of like think about how strong crafting need to be, because it seems like they not really hit like the sweet spot yet for crafting. And for skill, obviously, the skill is not exactly balanced. You have a skill that perform really, really well, and then you have a skill that barely do anything. So hopefully 0.5.5 kind of solves that. So PoE2 can have like the best chance to succeed on the 1.0 launch at the end of the year. Because at the end of the day, I want to see this game succeed. I do like PoE2. I've been very, very happy playing it in 0.5. So I really hope they're going to keep the performance good. So I think that's it from me. If you guys want to chime in with the conversations, just leave it in the comment below. We can have the conversation. Just try to be civil. There's no need to be rude. And I'm looking forward to the reveal. Hopefully we get something good. And I think that's it from me today. Thank you everyone for watching. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one.